Back on my bullshit. Back to back on my bullshit. Matter of fact, that was bullshit. I'm going back to back on my bullshit. Do it one time, they gon' think it's luck. Gotta hit them with the repeat. Do it 2 times, they gon' still doubt. Hey, now I got a 3-peat.
The fact that I'm here with you today can only mean one thing. We gearing up for Madden 24, brand new FML cycle. This is the time where everybody decompresses, think about what they did wrong, what they did right, could have did a little better. Or if they had one more play in that game, maybe they win. This time is I feel like this time is more it's easier if you won a Super Bowl. You didn't win a Super Bowl and you missed it by, skin of your teeth. This is the time where you just like itching to get back. You itching to get back to the field, to the grind, just to the overall, the Madden game. But like I said, this is a good time to also do other things, play other games. It's stress free. You ain't gotta load up all that. But I think all of us are getting ready. All of us are pretty much ready for the cycle to begin again. I think we like 40 days away from team selection. Speaking of team selection, draft order dropped. Did it a new way this year. Before I even start that, shout out to the admins. They did a good job. Shout out to the admins. The new way they did it, they told us that they came out and said that it wasn't perfect, and you can respect that. You can respect that they came out and said that. But also remember that you're never gonna please everybody. Ever. Never gonna please everybody. Although we all saw faults with it, mostly with the weight of the balls everybody had. They said they're gonna correct it, and I think they've earned our trust that they're gonna actually correct it. You know what I mean? So, period. That should be it. Should be no arguments, none of that. The media has been popping. Now, I've been enjoying sitting back and watching the new voices and seeing new people come out with the media. Hopefully it continues and it doesn't fall off. It doesn't fall off like it did last cycle. But most of that was due to the reboot. We'll touch on that a little later in the show. But I'm not gonna overtalk it. With that said, look, this is DHTT. Don't hate to take. It's a new show that I'm starting. Probably do it every week and a half to 2 weeks. Just because I'm trying to incorporate graphics and titles and pop-ins and all that stuff, and it's pre-recorded, so I may do a live show here and there, but this is pre-recorded. It's gonna drop like a regular TV show. Y'all just catching a rerun basically, but it's gonna work with like you see the we got topics to the right. As we go through the topics, it'll highlight and you'll know that we're on the next segment. I'm not gonna talk too long on none of the segments. Sometimes I'll have a guest, sometimes I won't. Today we're gonna have a guest, and I think the OGs from 22 they'll think they'll get a kick out of who I got coming in for today. Be quick. But with that said, man, look, we're gonna get right into the show. We're gonna get right into it today. CVT, consistency versus talent.
Back on my bullshit. Back to back on my bullshit. Matter of fact, that was bullshit. I'm going back to back on my bullshit. Do it one time, they gon' think it's luck. Gotta hit them with the repeat. Do it 2 times, they gon' still doubt. Hey, now I got a 3-peat.
Welcome back to DHTT. Listen. That was my dog. Look, first topic, CVT, consistency versus talent. And actually, listen, as I was, Hugo, can I record, man? Look, actually, I was thinking about this topic as I was taking my notes, and it brought me back to a show that was recorded earlier this week, Inside Zone, with Villain, Q, and Sean. They did an incredible job. The show was great. Good media, good takes, and all that. They had a particular segment in their show. It was called the most I think it was called the most disappointing user in FML this cycle. Most disappointing user. an incredible segment. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, they did their thing. You can respect everybody's takes because it seemed like it was well thought out. So there, sorry, there's that. But I have to disagree with the way they did it. I think the way they went about choosing the most disappointing user, I just didn't agree with how they did it. You know, to me, the most disappointing user shouldn't just be limited to. All right, hear me out. Let me explain the way I think they did it before I even go into my spill. The way I think they did it, or the way it seemed like they did it, was they took the best users, right? You know, maybe 1 through 10, 1 through 8, decided out of the best users which one had the worst cycle. You know, so that narrows down the qualifying users to the most disappointing, to that short list of 1 through 5, 1 through 8, 1 through 10, whatever you, however you want to put it. To me, the most disappointing user needs to be all 32. So with that being said, I'm changing this topic right now from CVT to this is gonna be my take on the most disappointing user, which it falls in line with consistency versus talent also. So you know they kind of run hand in hand because with FML, great league, we all can agree with that, or we wouldn't be playing. However, and I'm guilty of it too. It's a what have you done for me lately type league. That's just the way it is. Like last cycle, you penalize a guy who won Super Bowls last cycle. Last cycle. That's almost that's a year ago. You know what I'm saying? And now he's the most disappointing. So basically, what we're saying is he's the most disappointing because he didn't win a Super Bowl. That's what I mean. Listening to the takes, that's ultimately what we're, you know, what he's getting penalized for, not winning a Super Bowl. Now, I'm not an idiot. Don't get me wrong. I know once you get to a certain tier, you get judged differently. That's just the way it is. That's life. That's life. But when we talk about most disappointing, you're talking about somebody with 50 plus wins, 18, 15, 17, 18 losses, perennial playoff berths, top 5 defenses, always, you know, very consistent, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather penalize somebody who don't make the playoffs every year, somebody who don't win their division every year, and penalize somebody from going to the wild card, the divisional round, losing to Rondo, losing to DZ, losing to Taco in divisional and conference championship rounds. 2 of those guys are in the top are universe or FML, and the FML universe. They're known to being one, either, you know, or however you have it, 1, 2, 1, 3. You're gonna penalize somebody for not winning a Super Bowl, essentially, for that reason. To me, the reason I think it should be looked at differently is because, in my mind, I'm thinking FML users. Nobody should come in thinking, okay, I'm just gonna take this team and just draft well and have a good time. 3 wins, yeah. You know what I'm saying? If you're thinking like that in this league, you need to just leave your letter of resignation on the admin's desk. Plain and simple. You know? So to me, the whole list of users need to be they need to qualify for this list of most disappointing, whether you're top 5 or bottom 15, you know. So that being said, the way I'm gonna judge most disappointing is not taking the top users list, picking out which one of the top users had the worst cycle. It's gonna be taking all the users, looking at their body of work, and of course taking into account what they did last cycle. But you cannot put Doc and say he's the most disappointing just because he won 2 Super Bowls and you're expecting him to win 3 this year. You know what I'm saying? So it's a disappointment. It's a disappointing. Yes, it's disappointing, but it's the most disappointing user in FML this cycle. The most disappointing out of all 32 teams. Okay, Witness won a Super Bowl. Easy won a Super Bowls. Rondo won a Super Bowl. Villain won a Super Bowl. Q won Super Bowl. I'm missing somebody? So 5 users. Maybe I might have missed one. Excuse me along. Didn't get my Xbox to load, so I can't watch that's over here. But so 5 or 6 Super Bowl winners, right? 32 users. 32, I mean 26. 26 of us didn't win a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? We'll say Doc is the most disappointing because he lost to 2 guys that repeated. I mean, you lost to Rondo, who went to 2 Super Bowls, DZ, who won the 2 Super Bowls. If that's how we're gonna judge it, why isn't? I mean, shit, Malibu. I'm just gonna say it like it is. To me, if this is how we going, to me the most disappointing is Malibu. Outside of the last season, he didn't make a Super Bowl. Why wasn't he listed as most disappointing? You know, it's to me, I just don't think it was that. That's my only disagreement with that segment is picking Doc as the most disappointing of the cycle. If I had my pick, honestly, I would take it as far as, but see, I want to say Ocho. You know, he had one winning cycle, not one winning cycle. Sorry, one winning season, and in his winning season, we're looking at 9-8. So that's 1 game above 500. Outside of that season alone, which was the last season, so you know he got some forced wins in that during that point. So he never got above 7 wins any other season outside of the last season, in which I'm almost certain he got forced wins. And I know many people will say, hey, he was using the Lions. So the hell what? You picked the team. You know, you picked that team. I'm tired of that team playing that team card. It's gotta stop. Gotta stop. You know, and this is where I was saying consistency versus talent comes into play, because you got user B using the Broncos. Sorry, user A using the Broncos, user B using the Chiefs. User A team using the Broncos beats user B who's using the Chiefs. User B is universally known in our league as being more superior than user B, but user B has the superior team. So now we start talking about team versus team, you know. And then you can also add in the fact that everybody's schedules ain't the same. I'm sorry, but I'm not saying that the AFC was garbage, because they weren't. They had some ballers in that conference, but let's just keep it a buck. You know, you had John in the playoffs. You have, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, like I said, look, you guys can put 2 and 2 together. You know, schedules. So when you can't always look at the wins either. You know what I'm saying? I know we take into account who's top 10 in wins, who has the most losses. But shit, some of those losses could be 20 of those losses could be to you know, the top 5 players, just based on your division or conference. You know what I'm saying? If we play 6 seasons, you in a conference with 2 of the top 10 players in the league, and you lose all those games, you know, that's 2 losses. That's 4 losses a year, just off buck times 7. No, 28. That's 28 losses right there. That's not even counting games you lose by 1 point out here, out there, out in conferences and everything. So like I said, this league is it's like, what have you done for me lately? And the lately is a Super Bowl. That's just plain and simple. That's what it is. That's I'm just gonna be honest. That's what it is. The lately is a Super Bowl. If you don't have a Super Bowl, the what have you done for me lately is nothing. Simple. And I think that's where they penalized Doc. I think Doc was judged unfairly for being most disappointing. To me, I would have to say, I would go online saying you could throw Ocho in there, you could throw Kuzi in there. Listen, I know he was in Doc's division, Kuzi, but we just named him top 10. We just named him top 10. And he didn't have one playoff victory. He may have one, but I don't think he had one playoff victory. I think he might have had one at the very end, but I don't think he had one playoff victory. And for that to me, that's disappointing. You know what I'm saying? For him to be Mr. Freeform himself, for him not to have one playoff victory, that's disappointing, and if he did, belay my last, but I would throw Malibu in there, because the same thing we expect from Doc. This man's top 8, top 9, top 10, you know what I'm saying? He didn't win a Super Bowl, and look. Y'all tell me what y'all think, Y'all tell me what y'all think about that. I don't feel like we can penalize one use. I don't think we can take subject as broad as, I don't think we take a subject as broad as most disappointing and penalize that one user for not winning a Super Bowl, essentially, because that's exactly what we're doing with Doc. We're penalizing him for not beating DZ, not beating Rondo, not beating Taco, getting to the Super Bowl because he won 2 last year. That's it. Like I said, it's disappointing that he didn't win. To him, he's very disappointed. I know he is, but to be the most disappointing in the whole cycle, we can't have users that win 7 games or 6 or 4 games yearly and leave them out of discussion for most disappointing. We just can't do it. We can't do it. It's almost like we picking and choosing 8 people to talk about. They doing good, they doing good. They doing bad, we gonna kill them. You know what I'm saying? But we ignore the other 15 that's doing terrible. We gotta stop doing that. Everybody's a target this cycle. That's what we need to. That's what we need to implement. Everybody's a target. You in this league to just draft well, just be around, hang out with the fellas. You're not trying to improve. Cut it. I'll let you know right now. Malibu told me the shackles was off. So if I see any tanking, any of that, I'm calling you out. And I'll invite you on the show. We can talk about it. But listen, most disappointing needs to go to the most disappointing user and not the best user with the worst cycle. And we're going to leave it with that. We're going to take a quick break and get right back to it. We can get on the reboot. We can talk about the reboot next. Coming up.
Back on my bullshit. Back to back on my bullshit. Matter of fact, that was bullshit. I'm going back to back on my bullshit. Do it 1 time, they gon' think it's luck. Gotta hit them with the repeat. Do it 2 times, they gon' still doubt. Hey, now I got a 3-peat.
Welcome back to DHTT. It's me, SB. And look, last cycle, FML took a hit. Not the hit that you probably thinking, but half the CFMs took the same hit. And it was when EA and their shenanigans messed up and deleted locked out our franchise, our franchise, and nobody could get in. So we end up having to start over. And what was crazy about that was everything was popping. We had the media popping. Everybody had just got used to their teams. The draft picks that they got in season 1, they was able to develop them. Sorry players from the beginning of the year. the projects. They have finally got the superstar or star or even X Factor, you know, and then all that, bam, disappeared because of EA. And I don't want to say we expected it, but um, yeah, we expected it. I want to give a shout out once again to the admins for holding it down. They did a good job, and keeping it afloat, you know, because it's hard to keep. I'm gonna just keep it 100. Like that ruined the cycle for a lot of people. It took out a lot of momentum, and for them to keep us engaged, as far as with the league and doing things for the league and switching up the way we pick teams, that was something like that gave us more excitement and more want to play. Also, I'm gonna give ourselves credit because no matter how good the admins do, you know, it ain't no league if we don't play. You know. With that being said, yeah, shout out to us. Give ourselves a round of applause. Um, with that though, with the season, with the franchise being locked out, and we were unable to look at anything that happened in the past, like past stats and wins. We weren't able to account for those. So for users that were doing good at the beginning of the cycle that didn't do good after the reboot, they really have no proof that they was ever doing good this cycle. So the reboot is all that we're gonna remember, you know, basically outside of the Super Bowls. Uh, but I do have some mentions from the reboot. You know, like first one I'm gonna mention is the biggest improvement. Okay, so to me, my biggest improvement. I'm gonna pick what the league picked. 32. Can you do something for me? It gotta go to J Dub because you can't go from 32 and 15 and not be labeled the biggest improvement. You know, that's huge. That's more than half your ranks. So J Dub, congratulations, you are the most improved. To me, biggest fall off. You gotta go with Iota. You gotta go with Iota for the biggest fall off. This man was a Super Bowl champ to 3 and 14 seasons. Um, I think he had one playoff berth, and I know he didn't have one playoff win. So, um, Super Bowl champ to not even being a contender, not even being a pretender. Like he wasn't even in a contender pretender phase. He was just not around. He might as well have just put the controller down this cycle. So biggest fall off, Yoda. Congratulations, you played yourself. Do better next year, man. We on it. We on you. You know what I'm saying? Best team builder of the reboot. I'm gonna go ahead and say Rob. I'm gonna say Rob was the best team builder at the end of the cycle. I believe the Commanders were like 90 or 90 plus overall, which is good. You know, which is good. And he made his first playoff berth, which was nice. I think if the cycle went on for like a year or two more, seasons, he would have went back. You know, he went back and he might have snuck one with that roster. He did a good job with them. Um, worst worst team decisions. I'm gonna go and say I'm gonna say Maddie, man. Look, Maddie, he's a good user. You know what I'm saying? He's not bad. He's not great. He's not bad. You know, he's good, but I think he gets bored. I think he gets bored, and when he gets bored, I think he looks at his team and goes, the hell can I trade? And I think he makes one. I think he always makes one too many trades, and that's why I gave him that. I think that one too many this year was Pat Surtain, and I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why? No, so there's that. Uh, best draft pick of the cycle. I think everybody can agree that it was Briggs. It was Briggs for DZ. I think Briggs single handedly won a Super Bowl for him. Well, won a season for him. That he was that damn good. You know, A Rod type of impact. A Rod Slinger one type impact player. You know what I'm saying? So you got to give that to DZ and Briggs. Um, all we can hope for in Madden 24 is not to have a reboot. You know, we could just start from the beginning. So everybody that want to take those mid-tier, low-tier teams for a reboot or their favorite squads don't have to restart, because that would be absolutely devastating to have this happen again. I think, it just can't happen. So we need to, cross our fingers that EA got it, handle their business, so we don't got to worry about this again. And yeah, that's that. That's all I really want to touch on the reboot. Congratulations to all the Super Bowl winners on the reboot. Cube, Rondo, DZ, Villain, and congratulations to Vic to making it to 2. Couldn't get the job done, couldn't get over the hump. I know that stings for him. Because he made a nice run with the Bengals Remember, he made a nice run with the Bengals before we started, and then he made a really good run with the Bills. I thought he was gonna get one, but he just couldn't get over the hump. Villain, he did good with it. He my favorite user, but gotta give him credit where credit's due. He did his thing with the Chiefs, and he was throwing them streaks. But look, either you gonna keep complaining or you gonna stop it. If you don't stop it, why would I stop? Why would I stop doing something that you not, stopping? So look, his plan worked throughout the entire AFC. So AFC couldn't stop it. So look, keep doing it. He got one bowl with it, and then just almost got a second one, but couldn't get through DZ on DZ's quest to a back-to-back, which was incredible. So shout out to him. And I think he might. I think if he have a repeat of this cycle next cycle, that we may have to look at him as FML GOAT status. I'm not ready to give it to him yet, but we have to start looking at him as an FML, FML GOAT. So that's going to be really interesting to look forward to next cycle to see if he continues to do this, or if he's going to have a doc cycle, quote unquote. And shit. So that's good. So look, we going to head into the next segment, DHTT. Don't hate the take. I have a special guest. If you guys were with us in Madden 22, then you'll know who this is. This voice will be very familiar to you. That's gonna be coming up right after this quick break.
Back on my bullshit. Back to back on my bullshit. Matter of fact, that was bullshit. I'm going back to back on my bullshit. Do it one time, they gon' think it's luck. Gotta hit them with the repeat. Do it 2 times, they gon' still doubt. Hey, now I got a 3-peat.
Welcome back to DHTT. Don't hate the take. And listen, I got a special guest with me here. If you was here in Madden 22 with us, then you already know him. My partner in crime from Pick 6, the boy, Romy Rome. What's good?
Hey, yo, bro, what's up?
I want to thank you for coming out. I know you are a busy man.
Oh yeah, of course.
So, while I got you here, why not have you participate in the show? As this show is called Don't Hate the Take, I really don't give a damn if they hate the take. It's my show. However, I'd like to ask you if you had any type of hot take for this upcoming cycle.
Well, I was away, as you know. So I don't really know a whole lot about what's going to happen in the near future, but I
know you've been reading about it and hearing about it in the news everywhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say from what I've been told, there were some interesting things going on, but I mean, I got to give a take. I feel like just based off what I'm reading and seeing, and based off what I know from the past, because 1 year away is not that long, but we have a user that won bowls in 19 and kind of just like flew under the radar with making playoffs, making it to Super Bowl, but not ever really getting over that hump. And that's Malibu, the one and only. I think, me personally, based off what's going to happen in Madden 24, is he's going to get himself a bowl.
What gives you the idea, just out of nowhere? How can we trust him to win a Super Bowl this year when he came through in 20? 21, 22, 23. So now all of a sudden he about to win a Super Bowl.
It's been too long. I feel like that drive and thirst for the bowl is gonna eventually play itself out. But
all right, so hear
that
me out.
league-
So hear me out. That's your hot take, right? What if
Yeah.
I was to tell you that the smoke screen right now is him picking the Pats? Will you still remain with that take?
no.
What's the difference between him
Well,
taking
I'm,
the
I'm,
Pats?
I'm, not, I'm not saying no to the take. I'm saying like he's not picking the Pats. We know how this goes. I
He
was
called-
around from 19 to 22.
Are you saying
And
you saying
one thing I know about the guy is the team that he says he's going to take first is not the team he's going to end up picking later on. So
he got us sold though, man. He posting pics and gifs and
we'll see. Unless things have changed.
So what you're saying is even if he picks the Pats, your take remains he's winning the bowl.
Yeah.
24.
Yeah, it's his favorite team.
That's
That's his favorite team. So
that is a
I feel
hot
like
take. That is a hot take. That's a crazy hot take. All right,
we
so
definitely, at least in my time of being a part of FML, we've seen users take their favorite team and be successful just off the pride of being able to play with their own squad. So I don't see any reason as to why he can't get the Pats to the glory land.
you still
If anybody could do it, be him.
you still owe me due for year of the boogie, man. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. I called that shit out. Hey,
you
I
owe
called
me a
that
lot to do.
hey, I don't want to hear that. All right, so do you have like a long shot like outside? I know Malibu that's a hot take, but do you have any type of like a long shot take that you believe could happen that maybe or not?
In regards to what, like
In
finding
regards
some
of
success, or
yeah, in regards of having success. Like if you had to pick one user that to be the most to improve the most, what would you?
I'd probably say Prime.
Okay,
Yeah,
Prime had a couple. He had a little bit of success this year. They got him ranked at 12, I believe this year. No, was it 12? I think they had him
And
ranked
this
at
isn't-
12 this year in the power rankings with us, in the FML power rankings. This
And let me be clear, this isn't because I'm just targeting certain people. This is, I don't know all y'all over there anymore. But I know what I know based off of previous cycles. But I felt like even though Prime couldn't ever get it going, he had like flashes of him like learning and being able to play better. Watching him and J-Dub play each other for an entire cycle was the funniest shit.
Yeah.
Just because they were going at it all the time. Even Prime, I remember we had some pretty tough games too towards the end of the cycle. But I don't know how well he did in 24. From what I understand, he made playoffs, so that's good. That's a step up from the previous cycle. So I don't know, based off where he picks, if he gets a strong enough team and he's able to get those sticks ready and he aligns himself perfectly with Madden 24, I don't see why he can't improve.
Gotcha. Real quick. Earlier in the show, I had a topic. It was called CVT, consistency versus talent. Okay? And I ended up changing the topic because of a show earlier this week from Villain, Sean, and Q called Inside Zone, where they picked a most disappointing player, and they picked Doc. And I came up with the conclusion that they did that because he didn't win a Super Bowl and he won 2 last year. So my idea on how they did it was they took the top users and they picked one user that had the worst cycle of the top users. They decided to make him most disappointing user, which I disagree with. How would you pick your most disappointing user? Would you use that same way, or would you approach it a different way?
No, because you could have success one cycle and then not have success the following cycle. But okay, so let me understand this. What was the overall scope of what Doc was doing in 23? Winning seasons, playoff runs?
All right, right now, perennial playoffs, winning the division, of course, top defense. He just kept running into DZ, Rondo, Taco. Like those are teams he ran against. DZ went to 2 Super Bowls. Rondo went to Super Bowls. DZ won 2 Super Bowls. Rondo won Super Bowls. I mean, it's not like he was running up against scrubs. You take you take
Yeah,
half the people you take half the people in the league and put them against those guys in the playoffs. A lot of them not gonna have success. But to
DZ
me,
is a force to be reckoned with, and from
absolutely,
what I remember,
he's
DZ was giving Doc some problems in 22.
he's universally
so,
number one. You know what I'm saying? So you put Doc, you put Doc in the AFC, we having a different conversation.
well, I don't know what the AFC looked like, but I mean,
You had Villain made 2 Super Bowls with the Chiefs. You had Vic at the Bills. You had Malibu with the Ravens. You had Prime with the Dolphins. John with the Bengals. Smooth with the Colts.
that sounds like basically the NFC from 22,
And then you had
with the exception of like 1 or 2 people.
and then you had Witness with the Chargers, which I disagree with him being top 6. They had him
Hold on.
top 6, and the reason they had him top 6, to me, I think it was like, all right, look, he won a Super Bowl the very first year in of the FML cycle. Okay, with the Colts, that's good. That's good shit. But reboot, he ends up with the Chargers. You know, top tier team. They ain't the greatest on offense, but they're still the Chargers. You know, you got Matt Bosa. You know,
The defense is solid.
I seen a 3-14 season. I seen a 9-8 season. He picked number 2 with the Chargers. You know what I'm saying? And he was trying. It's not like he wasn't trying, but top 6 guys don't go 3-14. I don't care what he going through. And top six users do not go 3-14 and remain in the top 6.
See, to me, I don't know what they were using, their knowledge or their thought process when they picked out. But when you look at disappointing, I would have looked at like what you just said, the guy that literally won at the very start of the cycle and didn't do anything following that. Because one thing we've learned from playing Madden for a long time is there are some guys that will have really strong seasons to start off or really bad seasons to start off, and all of that can change after that first season.
So, all right. With that being said, let me get your take on who would you choose to be the most disappointing based on how you view picking out disappointing users.
Well, if we're gonna go based off of the type of material that they went on in that show when they picked Doc, I don't know why they overlooked Iota. From what I understand, Iota did not have a successful cycle at all, and I remember him being a pretty perennial coach this cycle before. Didn't he assemble the Avengers like 3 or 4 times?
Yeah.
He got to the bowl. He
Marvel's
got it done,
Avengers
right?
and shit. Yeah. And Madden
Right.
23, he ran into Endgame. That's what that was. That's what that was.
I mean, I understand if somebody doesn't win a bowl the next cycle, like that's not uncommon. There's definitely plenty
Right.
of users that win bowls and then the next cycle don't win a bowl.
Right.
But when you finish third in the NFC East every season after being that strong the cycle before and no playoff wins, that's a little bit more eye-opening than probably what you just told me about Doc, at least in my opinion.
I mean, one of the seasons he had Kyler Murray, he had Tyreek Hill. Oh, goddamn. And
Yeah, that was one thing that he did with the Ravens. He would trade and get all these phenomenal players, but it worked out for him then. It sounds like it didn't work out this cycle. To me, that's the most disappointing.
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't know how else you could really.
I
Doc
agree.
over Iota?
Yeah, I'm glad we see eye to eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like I said, I respect their taste because it was well thought out. You know, and everybody got their own opinions, but
Yeah.
to me, you can't shrink the list of how you choose disappointing users to just choosing who's the best user that had the worst year. You know what I mean? Because then you're ignoring the other, 15, 16 users that go out and win 4 or 5 games a year. You know?
Right. That's literally like pointing out somebody that won a Super Bowl in Madden 20 but hasn't won one since. So does that mean they've been disappointing ever since Madden 20? Like,
and you look in perspective, you have 6 Super Bowl winners a year. I mean, a cycle, that's still 26 people that ain't got one, so you're going to pick out of those 26 or all their year. I mean, which one is the most disappointing,
Look at it this way. Villain wasn't really having that much success last cycle, but you just said he went to 2 Super Bowls and won 1, right?
Right.
Right. So was last year disappointing? Like he had some pretty good playoff runs.
Here's a stat here. DZ didn't win a Super Bowl the last 2 years of cycle. So you telling me, had Doc won a Super Bowl and then DZ not won a Super Bowl at all. Those last 2 cycles, with DZ's cycle had been the most disappointing out of the entire year, after winning the division every year, into the conference championship damn near every year, but not getting the Super Bowl, where he had the most disappointing cycle.
That's a good thought. Let me ask you this: what did Kuzi do?
Kuzi, now listen, he was actually on my list of being one of the most disappointing. I mean, he did well. He was the Panthers. He was in Doc's division, so you take that into account. But it was him and Doc.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was
Right.
him, Doc, and someone else. So you also take that into consideration, that either he's 1 or 2, so he's gonna make the playoffs. You know, but he didn't have one victory. I think he had 1 playoff victory this year after going into the playoffs. So I mean.
Yeah,
And then he's Mr. Freeform himself. He's probably one of the best users passing that we've ever seen. You know.
His offense was always a force to be reckoned
So
with.
with that being said, you gotta look at that. Like, I mean, why ain't he doing more than what he doing?
Like you said, everybody's got their own opinions. Maybe Doc just has a little bit more of a target on his back because
Also,
he was such a great user that cycle.
And what
but
I was
he
saying
wasn't
was,
the only one.
people, when you win bowls, you get a, now I don't want to say a target, but it's more you're judged differently. Kind of like
Right.
LeBron James judgment, KD judgment, you know how they're judged differently, different tiers. You know, LeBron's judged way different than Dylan Brooks.
But again, going back, like we were talking about targets, I feel like Iota would have had a target as well because it sounds like he basically did the same.
It's selective,
type of,
man. It's selective. People select who they want to go after. I'm telling you, that's how it is.
It sounds like he literally did the same exact scheme and method that he did the year before. He took a team, which granted, the Ravens are a much better roster than the Giants to start off with, okay?
Yeah.
But he trades away those really good players to get other really good players or really great draft picks that he can develop. Right? And it sounds like he did the same thing.
But the other side of that is he's trading those players, but people are trading them to him. So if I'm him, why stop?
Exactly.
You know?
So you're telling me the guy that just traded for a lot of the top players and now has this assembled squad that's ready to make a run and doesn't make a run and goes 3-14. That's not disappointing?
That's very disappointing.
Right.
Which is my point I made, which is the point I made earlier. They took that top list. Iota wasn't in that top list, so that pretty much disqualified him from who they thought was the most disappointing.
I will say,
which I say they should not be doing.
Surprising.
Witness being top 6, no disrespect to him because he won a Super Bowl, and Super Bowls are that carries a lot of weight in FML. I also said that FML, you can attest to this also. FML is a what have you done for me lately league, and the lately is pretty much what a Super Bowl.
Right.
And if you don't got a Super Bowl, then your lately is nothing. What have you done for me lately? Have you won a bowl? Nothing. So you ain't done nothing for me lately. And
so is this top list or this power ranking in general, was this solely based off of this cycle alone, or was this based off of all the cycles?
That's another thing. I mean, the list came out, the whole league, the league filled it out. I think 17, 18 people filled it out, and you don't know what's going through their head. They could be thinking the entirety body of work, totality, or they could just be thinking of the cycle. And there's that also. Yeah,
because I mean, I know that there's a lot of movement when it came to
who
was there this year compared to last year. Or
to me, Witness top 6 is based solely on him winning a bowl, the Colts. It has to be, because it can't be based on what he did with the Chargers. Can't be.
Right.
It absolutely can't be. So if we're judging him, on 1 year alone, the first year where everybody's getting acclimated to play the damn game, he's not top 6.
I'm gonna tell you what. If there's a user in the league that is consistently getting to the playoffs and just can't get over that hump, like let's say they get to the championship round, just can't get to the Super Bowl, or they get to the Super Bowl and just can't get it done. If they're being a little bit more consistent, I would probably overrule that in the ranking than I would somebody that won a bowl and didn't have success following.
Yeah. Agreed. Because that's consistency. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But we don't wait. They say we award consistency, but we don't really award consistency. Really don't. Because if we did, one dot wouldn't be the most disappointing. So the rankings would be different a lot.
Right.
John went from 32 to 15. You know, that's a big jump for somebody that made the playoffs once.
Huge jump.
So it's yeah.
So if
A lot
so
of that
it-
factors into who
hold
else
on.
is in the league, but
So if John was ranked at 15, where were the rest of the guys that only made the playoff one time, or none for that matter, below or above? Was there anybody that was below or above?
I don't know. I have to look at the list.
Because to me, I mean, if you're gonna give somebody the same energy and same thought process to their position, and somebody basically had the same cycle, then they probably need to be positioned somewhere in the same area.
Having trouble bringing it up. But
And
yeah,
then what
I see
becomes
your
the
point.
criteria to make them appoint them? You know what I mean?
I'll make sure to have graphics. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, bro. I appreciate this.
Yeah, no problem. You know, I got the invitation. I was like, you know what? I could probably fit you in my schedule. You know?
This guy. So,
Like old
I
times.
gotta ask. Are you thinking? Are you? I mean, will you come back? Would you come back? Why not?
Would I?
Why not?
Or yeah, no, I think I would. Yeah. It's been what, a year or so, give or take.
Why
I
not?
don't see any reason as to why I wouldn't. I actually didn't even really play Madden a whole lot last year because I had a lot of stuff going on.
Pick six, man. I don't say, man. Pick six.
Just we'll see how things would pan out if I did come back. Yeah, we'll leave it like that. But I'm open to it.
Word. Get at you later, man. Thanks for coming. Next on the DHTT, we got SB's A list. That's pretty much my top 5. So we're gonna get into that right after.
Back on my bullshit. Back to back on my bullshit. Matter of fact, that was bullshit. I'm going back to back on my bullshit. Do it one time, they gon' think it's luck. Gotta hit them with the repeat. Do it 2 times, they gon' still doubt. Hey, now I got a 3-peat.
Hey, welcome back to DHTT. And this segment right here is gonna be called SB's A list. Now, this is just my top 5. Now, when I'm doing this top 5, this is gonna be based on this cycle, like 90% of this cycle, and then like 10% of previous cycle. Only because this is the first time I'm doing it, and it's at the end of the cycle. So when I'm doing it during the year, during the season, I'm gonna do it probably like every 1 to 4 week or Madden weeks. Then I'm gonna do that. I'm just put that out. This is not gonna be on the show every time. It's just putting out a list, just dropping a quick video of my 1 through 5 of who's hot during this 1 to 4, week 1 to 4, 8 type, 5 to 9 type stuff. So, like I said, this one in particular is, entirety of the cycle, 10% of. So, with this number 1, this everybody knows number 1 is probably not going to change for a lot of people's list. So number 1, easy, 2 Super Bowls, doing this thing. Really no point in, don't really got to explain anything. This is just common knowledge. Number 2, villain. Look, he did his thing. He did his thing with the Chiefs. I know people gonna say he used the Chiefs. Listen, I don't care. That team shit gotta stop. You pick the team you pick. Look, you can't have it both ways. You can't go and say scheme over team and this and that and the third, and then a team win with a powerhouse. You clown them. Nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, can't have it both ways. So shout out to Villain. He's number 2 this year. To me, number 3. And number 3 and 4 could be interchangeable. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put them both up there. Rondo and Q. Look, Q could easily be 3. Rondo could easily be 4. These next, actually, 3, 4, 5, and 3, 4, and 5, I think have users that are very much interchangeable. So Rondo at 3 to me personally, just because I just feel like he had a little edge over Q this cycle, just on off the strength of who he had to go through to get to where he ended up. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose Rondo just off that. Q could easily be. And then 5 is what I said. 5 and 6 is what I mean. Those users can be interchangeable too, because I was juggling between Doc and Vic. Reason I hit Doc was because of that 10% from last cycle, which he won 2 Super Bowls. Vic made 2 Super Bowls here, but lost them. Had he won 1 Super Bowl, or I don't know, Vic would be number 5 for me. But like I said, Vic could easily be 5 for anybody. He was there for a second. Then I started thinking, well, you gotta put Doc. You gotta put Doc at 5 just because of that resume. That resume means something. Then Vic at 6, and that's where I would go. But that's my A list. But like I said, during the season, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do like 1 through 4, who's hot. It's gonna be based on a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, it might not just be. It's not based on wins purely. It's time to. I think I want to start showing love to other users that don't get as much love. So, if you hot during 2-3 weeks period, you gonna get shout out. No, that's simple. So, that's my A list. Easy at 1, Villain at 2, Rondo at 3, Q at 4, Doc at 5. That's where we gonna wrap it up. I want to thank all y'all for coming out, listening, and watching DHTT. This one was pre-recorded, but during the cycle we gonna try to get some live ones in so we can get some live chat in, get some call-ins. But outside of that, man, thanks for showing up, man. I'm signing out.
Back on my bullshit. Back to back on my bullshit. Matter of fact, that was bullshit. I'm going back to back on my bullshit. Do it 1 time, they gon' think it's luck. Gotta hit them with the repeat. Do it 2 times, they gon' still doubt. Hey, now I got a 3-peat.